Hey, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey of learning just one little bit more of Chinese expressions a day. And here we go. Yesterday, we talked about the 动辄得咎, a very odd situation of whatever you do, however you act, you put out your best performance, whatever you do, always receive blame. And that's the kind of political struggle situation. Okay, 引咎辞职. So same concept of wrongdoing, mistakes that comes from this, people are not having their own thoughts, are not following. So things are not working well. So that's the kind of trouble situation. 引咎. So 引, we talked a little bit before. This shape. So normally Chinese, we have lines, we have at most a corner. You can see like a structures like this, right? Like some turning of the corner, that's at most. But here we have many corners turned. Not really like that's in writing, that's kind of demanding. Like you have to write the curves, the corners, and in proportion look like that. Okay, just so you know, when Chinese learning to Chinese, imagine the handwriting. We don't have 26 letters. We have thousands. Like how many use like 5,000 Chinese characters? We have to learn to write each of them. And some are really difficult to write. Even with like the way I learned Mandarin, it's simplified Chinese. It's still okay, so like this, you have to practice many times to make it right so that you gain the muscle memory to write without thinking. Luckily, I don't know today's kids at school, do they still need to went through that drill of writing Chinese thousands of times to make it right, and sometimes use it as a punishment. But like today, we type, right? We seldom write words anymore. Anyways, so this is one of the difficult to write, many twists and turns character, and that came from the archery, the bow image of, so bow was supposed to put in here. I mean, this is not proportionally a bow, right? Bow is much longer and with a middle mechanism, like a smaller in proportion. But here, Chinese are not always in proportion. We sometimes like zoom in into the critical portion of that mechanism. So here is the bow structure, and here is the string on that bow. And this originally means you're going to, so this is zhang, so you're pulling the string ready to shoot. I mean, supposed to be this, right? Okay. And eventually that means you're leading the string, right? You are pulling the string and pointing your arrow to a certain direction. So that kind of pointing gained this meaning, packed into this character. And that means admit, like you are directing your attention to somewhere. And that's, okay, you're referring to that mistake, right? So you're kind of calling, referring to the mistake that you made, and then you have to leave your job. That's the full meaning. And 词, wow, look at that. It's really complicated, left and right structure, and the right portion originally written like that. And I've shown you this image in a few episodes before in Spice Girl episode. This is the flavor. The flavor came from the ancient punishment with something really spiky that meant to hurt you, right? To punish as a punishment. So here, okay. Originally, this character means lawsuit. I mean, in ancient times, we do have lawsuits, civil lawsuits, I guess. So in this case, it almost look like, okay, this is one hand. We have 3-finger hand, sometimes drawn this way. And we have another 3-finger hand, sometimes drawn this way, right? 2 hands. And in the middle, Okay, in other episodes, we saw this character. It means a baby, small baby. Two hands are pulling a baby in the middle. And there is this narrow tunnel over here. That to me, almost like divorce case in ancient times. I mean, I knew like divorce very rarely happen. And especially when women have a baby already, most likely is, okay, you're stuck there. There's no other options. Divorce was not that common back then. So I don't know why there was this image of two hands having a baby in the middle, kind of each of them trying to get the baby, right? So lawsuit. And this simply I interpret as law enforcement, because this is kind of ancient corporal punishment as a result of wrongdoing, I guess. So like whoever in the lawsuit lost the case are going to be punished. So this is kind of the execution of the law. And this is kind of who win the case, the debating. So the debating, okay, in a court, ancient times form of court, the debating to get the baby in the middle is quite a phenomenon, right? Or endeavor. I don't know if lawyers back then make a lot of money. Really have no clue how that thing carried out. But this debating, this verbalization in the court to state your case clearly, so that you get the better result and don't get punished by something like that. So that verbal use eventually carry on with this character. That means verbal expression, something related to what you say. And even if it came from the lawsuit. And somehow eventually down the line, this becomes like say goodbye, farewell, like you're leaving. So I don't know exactly how that came into being, but probably because somebody lost the lawsuit, have to go, maybe. So in this context, this character means leave your job, your position. So how come this is the position? Okay, we can see the ear sign on the left. This is the ear symbol. That's kept. But on the right side is a sound maker, zhi, and it pronounced as zhi. But ancient forms, the full form written has nothing to do with this. Okay, so as a contemporary Chinese Mandarin user, I have no clue what it came from. I have to go to the source to see what it's made of. It made of this character in the middle. So there are three portions, right? The ear on the left, the middle means music, the right means ge, is the weaponry, the kind of a dagger thing. So music came from almost like a verbal expression here. If without this little horizontal line in the mouse symbol, which is this blocks with a tilted smiley face, without that means verb. So, okay, we have this portion, this concave curve shape stacked up, connected by this upright facing staff thing. So that whole structure on top of the mouse symbol, that means the tongue. So it's an indicator of pointing your direction toward something in your mouth, and it's your tongue. So speaking is the function of the tongue is to make sounds, right? Speaking. And then these are sound bites. That's my interpretation of sound bites coming out of your tongue, coming out of your mouth. So that's the whole speaking mechanism, right? You have the tongue, the mouth involved, and sound bits going further. So that's mostly speaking. But if a horizontal line put inside the mouth, that means singing. It's a melodically speaking, so to speak. So it's a type of speaking. It's singing. And Okay, the right side. In last episode, we talked about, I think, wait, not in this, the ones before. We talked about this is an ancient dagger. It's a weaponry that came from sickle, your farming tool. Okay, so you have a hearing, the ear, and you have the music making type of speaking, hearing, speaking, and you have the weaponry over there. So my interpretation of this weaponry means like this is working for the government, because they're in times of war, whoever doing this listening and speaking communication job are going to hold a weapon to fight for the country. So this is a government type of job. Admit mistake, leave the job means resign with negligence. I guess in English, just resign is enough. That means made a big mistake. And then because of that, you have to leave the job. I put a picture over here. It's interesting illustration of how language in Chinese can be used, very subtly different. 年轻人需要指点. You notice here, 指点. 不需要, 不 is negation. Not need, 指指点点. Okay, 指点 and 指指点点 are two different things, even if they are made of the same, but if it's repeated, the meaning flipped. Okay, 指点, 年轻人, young man, need, 需要, 指点 means mentoring, like you are, they need mentoring, need guidance, 指点. So this big oversized finger means somebody pointing, like trying to give directions, right? That's mentoring. 不需要指指点点. 指指点点 means judging. 指指点点. If you say it twice, instead of mentoring, the meaning changed to judging. It's like not like a negative. So, all right, that's about it. Resign with negligence, 引咎辞职. Touching to the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.